Hi everyone, I'm the plant propagator and welcome to my channel if you're new, or welcome back if you've seen me before. Today what I want to do is show you my date palms. And my date palms have taught me 3 lessons about plants and about growing orchids. So what I'd like to do is share those 3 lessons with you and show you some of the orchids that are in my date palms. The first thing that I learned is that date palms are dioecious, and what that means is there's a different boy and girl date palm. The female date palm is beside me, and the female date palm makes dates, which means in my front yard here in Southwest Florida, it makes a mess on the driveway and in the yard. The male date palm right here, it makes pollen, and so it doesn't make the same type of mess. It puts up clouds of pollen, which is interesting. Just so you know, the female date palm here was planted about 7 years ago from a seedling that came up in my neighbor's yard underneath his date palms. So this is the female right here. It's about 7 years since I planted it. The male date palm right here is a little younger. It's only 5 years old, and it's a sibling or a brother to the female date palm shown here. So the male date palm, like I said, it's been in the ground for 5 years, also donated by my very generous neighbor. So the first lesson is that there are boy and girl date palms. Certainly not very many palms are like this, but there are a lot of plants where you have male and female plants. Not a lot, there's a few. It's a little bit unusual, to be honest. Okay. Now what I want to do is go over with you some of the orchids that I've planted in my date palms. I've mounted to my date palms, and that's pretty simple. I'm going to show you how to mount orchids in the date palms, and it's really straightforward. It's really simple. And that's going to give me the second lesson. That's going to give me and you the second lesson about growing orchids that my date palms have taught me. So let's go. Okay, so this is again, if you didn't see it before very well, this is my male date palm, and this is the female date palm that's a little bit older. All right, so we take a look. Let's go take a look at the base of the tree, which is where I mount my orchids. And what you can see here is that the orchids tend to be bigger at the base, so as this plant is growing, I started initially mounting the orchids in the base of this tree, and then as it grows, I'm mounting as we grow higher. So what it comes down to is that the orchids in the bottom typically are a little bit larger. What the second lesson that my date palms have taught me is that the orchids really grow well here. The orchids that I have planted in the date palm are kind of the orchids that I've had in the rest of my orchid collection that have just not done well. And what I do is I take the plants that aren't doing well, or I take cuttings or parts of the plants after I divide my orchids, and I just shove them down in the tree. What happens is they grow extensive root systems, and I want to get you a little closer to this dendrobium here that I just shoved down in the base of the tree and let you take a look at the root system that has developed. So I'm gonna go down here and get close, and you can see the root system that's growing and that's attaching. So the lessons that I learned here is that, well, first of all, orchids are epiphytes. They grow on trees naturally, so they are used to having their roots out and airy. And this is the cattleya, and you can see how extensively the roots have grown, and we can follow some roots all the way up here. This is from the same cattleya, and that's another cattleya. and they grow all the way up beyond that. So the root system is fairly extensive. So they get rain as this tree is rained on, and as my irrigation goes on, they get rain, and the roots can do pretty well, and the plants do very well, but then they dry out in between. So this taught me that this is how these plants grow naturally, and what we need to do is mimic this in plants that we grow in pots. So here I like to use a very airy mixture that doesn't retain water too much, because the orchid roots that you can see here that are all over the place just don't like to stay wet all the time. Okay, and this is a cattleya right here, and this, just so you know, this is a seed capsule, another seed capsule from crosses I've made, and these guys tend to do really well. All right, so there's another dendrobium right here, and what I do is I just take these, this was from the 2 shoots or canes that are right here. I just shoved them, actually there's 3, I just shoved them down in there, and what happens is this thing has grown. This Phalaenopsis is doing really well. There's another cattleya at the bottom. Here's another Phalaenopsis that's growing well, and again, the root system, you can see, just is growing really well. And here's one that I also wanted to show you. This was only mounted in here a short time ago, but you can see the roots. It was bare rooted, but you can see the roots creeping out from this cattleya. You can see the roots creeping out and grabbing on. All right, so this is what they do, and this is why they do so well. So let's take a look now at the plants in the female date palm, and this is again another dendrobium that seems to be doing very well, that's planted at the bottom of the tree. Here's another cattleya, and again, what you see, this was almost dead. So these two canes were just kind of almost dead. There was nothing living on here, and I put it down here, and it has since grown roots, 3 leaves, and it's really grabbed on nicely. There's another one right here, and they tend to do, and here's again another cattleya with a seed capsule that's doing really well. There's another, oh, there's the anole just ran by. So there's another dendrobium that was mostly, there was no leaves on it, so I just shoved it down in here. Another dendrobium here. This is one of my oldest Phalaenopsis that actually just finished blooming, but what I want to show you is this incredible root system that's growing up here and up here and up here and down in there. Just loves it in here, growing all over the place, and it's done pretty well. This is one that we'll see what happens with this. This is another one that is that I just, again, it was pretty much dead, and it's a cattleya, and I just shoved it in here. There's an encyclia right there, another dendrobium, another cattleya that is just starting to grow pretty well. But again, you can see how this was pretty much not doing well, and now it's grown leaves. It's got another nice new growth in the back right here. Another encyclia, and lots of things here. So what this date palm did was it showed me and it taught me about how these orchids, sorry about the street noise, I'm in front of my house, but this showed me, this date palm kind of showed me how the orchids grow naturally and what kind of conditions they like, and how it's important to keep things dry and airy when you grow orchids. So what I want to show you also is the last lesson that I want to teach you is most of these orchids, because they were from my barely surviving group of orchids, they're not labeled. And the third lesson that they taught me is, even though these are kind of the barely alive orchids that I've shoved up in this tree, they do need to be labeled, and this is something that I've learned, unfortunately, too recently. I don't know what a lot of these guys are. But I also want to show you, the last thing I want to show you is actually how to do this, how to put the orchids in the date palm. So what I have here is an orchid that is in that group that hasn't done much, and this has been in my just in a pot in my backyard, and it hasn't done very well. And I'm going to mount it in here. The way that this is done is just to find an area, and these are the base of the petioles right here of the leaves of the orchid tree. So what I'm going to do is try to find and the other thing to look at is, I don't know if you can tell how moist this is. Normally when I mount orchids, I put them in sphagnum moss, but this is so much better than sphagnum moss right here. This is the debris and stuff. This is really moist, and this kind of keeps them protected until the roots grow out. So the way to do this is pretty simple, is just to shove these orchids down in an area in the petiole right here. So I'm going to shove this down. Just kind of, sometimes it's a good idea to make sure, sorry, hard to do this. I'm going to make sure that it's in there pretty good. And the last thing to do that I've learned is to add my label. All right, so the label's going to go right here behind this orchid, and we'll watch. Sorry, you didn't see that well. So we'll watch over time what happens. This is an orchid, I should say, that's from a cross I made. It's a seedling that just hasn't done well in its current location. So we're going to see how well this thing does in its new location. And this should get rainwater, irrigation, you can't tell, but where I put my finger down there, it's pretty wet. So this will do, I'm sorry, it's pretty moist. This will do really well, I think, in this current location. So that's all I have. I hope that my date palm lesson has piqued your interest, and I thank you for watching. Happy propagating.